we do need strong leaders. And there is something about, the human brain likes to lock on to one person and attribute to this one person, oh, lofty person, you're so wonderful. And indeed, they just become the front runner for a lot of collaboration that's going behind. However, another way of thinking about it is that we live in a complex world, and no one person can possibly have the wisdom that's required to design and work in that world, hence the need for collaboration.
Particularly in today's world, it's very complex. There's lots of system interaction. You can have a great man who can be really smart, but it's going to be hard for that one person to really think about all the interactions, all the things that might happen, might go wrong. When you're doing a lot of things in managing, there's a lot of uncertainty, and you don't know what's going to happen. So you have a car, it's got 5,000 parts. No matter how well you plan at the beginning, there's going to be some unexpected stuff that's going to happen. If you think about, for example, the Ford Firestone case that we're all familiar with, one of the issues there was where it just happened that the design tolerance of the tire interacted with the design tolerance of this relatively tall SUV, that you got these problems of rollover and overheating, etc. Behind that was a problem of design of the system, where the suppliers were encouraged to come in with extremely low prices. And so there was some money saved up front. This made the purchasing agent look very good, but the kind of engineering that's typically done to make sure that problems like this, the kind of 1 in a million problem, doesn't arise. And you need collaboration because Ford doesn't know a lot about tires. Firestone doesn't know a lot about cars. They have to pool their knowledge.
You need a partner. You can't it can't be the sound of one hand clapping. The best buildings, the best work is done in concert with a client. It works right working with my designers when they contribute the best they know how. I respond to them, they respond to me, and they're different personalities. So those personalities express when you look at a building I did with Edwin or look at a building I did with Craig, they're different. It's a different chemistry. That's interesting. But they do it wrong when they try to second guess me. When they say, think, what would Frank do? Then we're in trouble. I'm out of town and they have to make decisions and they start going down a track and they think, well, there's no use doing this because he ain't gonna like it. And when they do that, that's bad.
What kinds of stories do we want to tell about creativity, innovation, the genesis of new things? And particularly what kinds of alternate stories to the very firmly entrenched heroic tale of great, usually men from whom ideas spring as innate fonts of creativity. And that this morning I reacted very strongly to Carl's comment that Frank was concerned that his ideas lost their life as they were translated out and diffused into other people. Because I see the world in exactly the inverse way, to the idea of how things circulate, and the idea of figures like Frank, people who are distinguished by their ability to see connections, resonances, where other people don't see them, among things that are circulating in the culture.
There's a lot of talk about great designers and great managers and even heroic designers and heroic managers. And for me, the term hero is very closely associated with Beethoven. When we talk about classical music, we talk in a very composer-centered way. If you look at the books in a bookshop, the great composers, etc., Beethoven, Beethoven, Beethoven. And you would think that our musical culture was really just about sort of endlessly reproducing Beethoven. I don't believe that's why people go to the concert hall to hear a Beethoven symphony that they have heard so many times that there's nothing new in it. Except, of course, there is something new in it because the Beethoven symphony is a vehicle. It's a vehicle through which you hear performance. You hear a performance that's never been before, a performance that's different from other performances, a performance that itself involves, as I said, lots of different musicians interacting with one another.
Putting these kind of components together, the question becomes, well, how do we work together? And we need to do it in a dialogic way. Nobody's got the right answer. Nobody can figure out how do we get there from here. So it's a sense of how do we design this future and move towards it? What does it mean to design a future for our children's children?